I'm a 29-year-old male. I live at home with my dad, my younger brother, his lady, my little niece who's about a couple months old, and my older brother who's 2 years older than me. And some will look at that and think to themselves, man, that must be depressing. You're not married, you don't have kids, you're living at home still. And I may have thought that actually when I was much younger, in high school, middle school, when I thought to my future. But in actuality, how I subconsciously have been setting up my life, when I started to zoom out and look at it, I'm very content and happy. I have my own home service business, and I have some guys who help me out to help lighten the load. My rent is really cheap. My portion's only $8.50. I don't have to break my back in my business trying to get it to scale just out of ego. And at the same time, it's not like a 9-to-5 where I'm pinching and having to calculate every penny that comes in and out. I have autonomy. I can go wherever. I don't have to request time off for a trip. And one of the blessings at living at home, and one of the fortunate things that I have in my life, is my older brother. He's super hardworking. Since I've known him, he's always been, he made it to Carnegie, went to university 4 years. He was the only sibling of ours, went to university 4 years. He's been doing his music thing. He makes music. It's King Dao on YouTube if you want to check it out. And without skipping a beat, every day for my whole life, I can't even think of a time where I haven't seen him show up for himself. And the reason I'm a business owner today, a huge reason of that, is because having an older brother like that to look up to, and have a bar set to a level to where, it's like, okay, that's where the bar's set. So for me, and my brother being pretty close, so growing up, is just that baseline has become normal. For some people, they might look at having a business and being like some grand task, and they put it off for years. Or going to the gym in the mornings, consistency. When he started going to the gym, he was really consistent at it. I started before him, but I was on and off. But then when he started and was being really consistent, again, another baseline I had to follow. So when I zoom out and look at my life, I realize I'm like, it's to my benefit to live with my family. It'd be different if I had family members who, and you gotta make your own constructive choice, but who were like, had bad habits, who weren't healthy, and all these things. My dad, very health conscious, spiritual guy, meditates, calm, peaceful. Another thing to look towards. My little brother, he's a good father. He's around, he's available, he works hard, so his lady doesn't have to work. What I'm saying is, I realize I'm like, yes, I could afford to go live on my own. It will look cool to be, a young man, the business, his own spot. But me, because, I used to have a drinking problem and occasionally would smoke weed. When left to my own devices, in my environment to myself, I'd be looking at a version of myself that wouldn't be empowering. So it was to my benefit at the time to stay with family, and I was wise enough to realize that. But then as I grew out of those addictions, I realized that the reason I'm even able to quantum leap into the reality that I'm in today, I just got out of the gym workout. I woke up at 4 a.m. to get this workout in pretty early. It's about 6 o'clock where I am now, so quick walk, and just wanted to talk to you guys. But that shift and that decision was when we realized, in me surrounding myself with people who are going to hold me accountable and people that are going to help me squeeze the best out of me there is why I keep moving forward. It's why I started doing YouTube videos. It's why everything I'm going to continue to do and indulge in and dive into, you know, writing a book, creating maybe other businesses I want to create. Being in this environment helps push me towards that. Because the old me was this segmentation of different people I met in school, hanging around with. But when going inward and actually challenging myself by looking at the people who I was living with and how they were living, helped bring me out of that created reality. So, and if you don't have family members who are like that, or friends, or people you know, move. Put yourself in an environment where people are going to bring the best out of you. And that's one thing I was fortunate to have, because I honestly wasn't bringing out the best in myself when I was doing my thing. And I think that was just a part of that, because I wasn't born that way. It was just in the mix-up of just hanging around the wrong people and thinking like once you're identified as a certain person, you have to remain that your whole life. You can change, and change is important. So, and if it's hard for you to change in your environment, like I said, get out of your environment. A lot of things I used to put off. Actually, I really want to travel and leave the country. So, and I've never done that before. At 29, I know a lot of people who have traveled. There's people who haven't traveled, who stay in the same small town. So I'm challenging myself this year, really, and beyond, to really start acting upon the inspirations that I have. So, I always wanted a street bike. Bought the street bike, rode it for a little bit, realized I'm like, okay, yeah, it's cool, but now that I got out of my system, it's not all that it's meant to be. Okay, what if I sold this bike, put that money towards, my ticket or my trip, into my trip? That'd be cool. That'd be a new experience. Let's do that. How do I put this into action? Okay, I want to learn Spanish. Started taking Spanish lessons. So just doing things, inspired action. That's all it's about. Life's about inspired action. I feel like we get trapped in this lifestyle of just going round and round and living to societal standards, and we have these suppressed dreams in our imagination, and our inspired action that we do have, we let it fester up, and we'll talk about it on a cool Sunday evening while having a cold brew and get excited and inspired. But then the next day it's back to reality, and we're living our job day to day without taking any action. I think the key is to just really act upon the thing. And it feels scary, to be honest, because even if it's not to our best interest, familiarity feels safe because it's familiar. We know what's going to happen. We know what to predict. And I think that's just, woven into our nature, because for survival, you want to know what's expected in nature, A gazelle with a group of gazelles wants to know how to anticipate the lions. That's why they eat out in the open field, so they can see. They're not really grazing around all the trees and brush where they can't really see their surroundings. We're not far off from many animals out there. That was just so as social creatures and as our survival instincts, we want to be in environments where we can thrive. And sometimes that's the comfort we've created around a life that we didn't necessarily choose. And to take a step outside of that feels uncomfortable. All our nervous system is firing and telling us that this isn't safe. What are people going to think? All these different things, because it's trying to protect us. And that's just how we're made. So you got to just almost go against what your feelings are telling you and go more for your intuition and go inward and follow that. And the more you exercise that, the more you'll get used to doing that. And that's something I'm still putting into practice. But yeah, that's really the key there. So yeah, just if you find yourself in situations, or you find yourself holding yourself to a lower standard, find someone to hold you accountable. You don't even have to tell them either. You can just, and it's not even a comparison way, but find a baseline. Find someone you can mirror and look at their standard, because when you feel like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, that person and that image of them, it could be a made-up version of yourself, can hold you to that baseline and make sure you're doing the things you need to do on a consistent basis. But yeah, just take time, explore life, because it is very short, especially when you start to really experiencing what you want to experience. Time moves a lot faster. If you're living the same day by day, it moves a lot slower. But yeah, I really experienced life because it's so beautiful. The fact that you're one in how many billions of people are on Earth, and there will never be anyone with your same DNA makeup in the future or in the past. Your exact DNA makeup is a miracle in and of itself. So truly just go explore life and enjoy it for what it has to offer for you. I don't care what anyone thinks, because you deserve it. All right, I'm gonna finish up my walk. You guys have a good one. Peace.